Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that dominates in today's edition for Tuesday, 29th April 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Trinidad and Tobago has a new administration following a keenly contested national election. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar leads her UNC, United National Congress, to emphatic victory over the Keith Rowley-led People's National Movement, the PNM. TPP takes the 2 Tobago seats. United National Congress UNC leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who turned 73 last Tuesday, received a national birthday gift on Monday night when her party won 27 seats in the general election, tossing the People's National Movement PNM back to 2010 defeat levels with only 12 of the 41 seats, and made history by becoming a female Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister a second time. These are early days yet, and the results still preliminary. Caribbean Perspective plan to keep you abreast with developments as they come to hand. In other news, it was a solemn celebration for the life of the late Pope Francis on Saturday morning as hundreds of thousands from around the world gathered in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City. The Mass for Pope Francis was presided over by the Dean of the College of Cardinals, Giovanni Battista Re, and delivered in 9 languages. More in this TTT News item.
More than 250,000 faithful and a delegation from 130 countries, including 12 reigning monarchs, 55 heads of state, and 14 heads of government, gathered in St. Peter's Square in Vatican City to pay their final respects to the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis. Representatives of various world religions were also present, including Buddhism, Hindu, Sikh, and other Christian traditions. Prayers of the faithful were offered in 9 languages and readings for the Mass in English.
Truly, I understand that God shows no partiality.
Spanish.
Nosotros somos ciudadanos del cielo.
And Latin. The entire celebration was accompanied by the choir of the Sistine Chapel. Fondly called the Pope of the Peripheries, Dean of the College of Cardinals, Giovanni Battista Re, delivered the homily and spoke to Pope Francis's relatedness and inclusivity in serving the poor and marginalized.
With his characteristic vocabulary and language, rich in images and metaphors, he always sought to shed light on the problems of our times with the wisdom of the gospel.
The guiding thread of his mission was also the conviction that the Church is a home for all, a home with its doors always open.
Pope Francis notably encouraged interreligious dialogue and reminded of our shared responsibility for our common home, often stating that no one is saved alone.
Pope Francis incessantly raised his voice, imploring peace and calling for reason and inviting honest negotiation to find possible solutions.
Cardinal Ray compared Pope Francis's life journey, which was recalled in a deed placed on his coffin, to the footsteps of Saint Peter.
Despite his frailty and suffering towards the end, Pope Francis chose to follow this path of self-giving until the last day of his earthly life. He followed in the footsteps of his Lord, the Good Shepherd, who loved his sheep to the point of giving his life for them. And he did so with strength and serenity, close to his flock, the Church of God.
An almost 4-kilometer procession of Pope Francis's coffin to his final burial place in St. Mary Major Basilica followed the Mass. As thousands bid their final farewell to the beloved shepherd of the Church, the prayer of Cardinal Ray echoed that humanity seeks the truth with a sincere heart and holds high the torch of hope. Stacia Yeward, TTT News.
Pressure mounts as Commissioner of Police in Guyana, Clifton Hicken, is called upon by all and sundry to resign following double-day hotel tragedy. Travis Chase of HGP Nightly News reports.
Pressure is mounting on Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken to resign following several questionable actions by members of the Guyana Police Force under his tenure. The latest being the death of Adriana Young, whose body was recovered from a pool at the Doubleday Hotel at Tushin on the east bank of Essequibo Thursday morning. A police statement had placed the girl outside of the hotel in a red and black Rom heading towards Reading Hoop. That statement eventually proved to be a blatant lie after private security cameras revealed that the child never left the hotel. Leader of the Assembly for Liberty and Prosperity movement, Simona Brooms, was on the picket line.
The president must not allow, under his watch, what is happening in this country to happen. No. Even if you appoint a commissioner, everybody must be held accountable, your minister and everybody. They must know that these things must not happen. What about preventing it from happening, man?
The political figures insist that the Guyana Police Force, under the leadership of Clifton Hicken, is facing the greatest operational challenge in a generation.
Commissioner of Police is to be held accountable and the commander of that division, because this thing starts from the head. Hickens only know for sheer kite and got this function and this outreach to promote himself. He's not a politician. He's not in government. He must understand that he holds a constitutional office where he ought to protect the people of this country.
As police ranks stood guard, the politicians remain adamant that the resignation of Clifton Hicken is now inevitable, since he's not prepared to show that Guyana has a police force which is prepared to accept full responsibility for its actions.
I am in agreement with those who are saying these people who are involved have to step down. The police has failed us not one time, not 2 times, not 3 times, but many times. Many times.
Opposition Chief Whip Christopher Jones said that since Hicken's appointment as Commissioner of Police, too many questionable police killings have been occurring.
It is always a template that every time the People's Progressive Party Civic is in office, you have heinous incidents of this nature, whether it's shooting, mass killings, and so forth.
It was former Public Security Minister Kemrad Ramjatan who had first called for the immediate retirement and resignation of Commissioner Clifton Hicken over numerous allegations of corruption within the Guyana Police Force and Hicken's surpassing of the retirement age. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The Acting Police Commissioner of St. Lucia, Vanguard, confirms 4 ongoing investigations into a senior officer accused of sexual misconduct. 2 cases are now complete and have been sent to the DPP, but the officer remains on active duty. Full details in this DBS News World report with Miriam Montoot.
Acting Police Commissioner Verngard has provided an update regarding the ongoing investigations into allegations of sexual misconduct involving a senior officer of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. According to Gard, there are 4 allegations with 4 separate investigations, 2 of which have been completed.
The very same investigator who started off the process, he submitted the 2 files through his line of supervision. He has submitted a recommendation to me. I have read the recommendation. I have spoken to his supervisor, and his supervisor also agrees with his investigation, and I also am in agreement with with the recommendations of his investigations.
However, Gard says that out of an abundance of caution, he has referred the 2 files to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the DPP. Gard says this is to allow the DPP, Dasrian Green, to examine the files and make his recommendations to Gard on the matter. Gard added that the officer still remains on duty. On the matter of the sexual harassment policy, Gard says that it is currently a draft, thus has not been implemented within the force. However, he says that the final meeting of the steering committee responsible for the policy took place about 3 weeks ago.
So we should be seeing this policy being brought to official policy within the entire public service. It's a policy that is needed. Now, it's not to say that there is absolutely no sexual harassment policy in the public service, you know. The public service is guided by clear rules in regards to how one set of people deal with another. But of course, to codify it and to make it more resilient, we need to put it in that kind of form and fashion, and we are working towards that.
Gard's comments were made during a police press conference on Thursday. For the DBS News World, Miriam Montoot reporting.
The Bahamas' Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell comments on leaked documents concerning Cuban workers. ZNS News has more.
The Foreign Affairs Minister is issuing a warning, and it's based on the implication that leaked contract purporting to show the wages of Cuban medical professionals here in the Bahamas could threaten the country's sovereignty. The alleged stolen documents note just how much the Cubans receive on a monthly basis, with the remainder of their pay earmarked to the Cuban state agency. Minister Fred Mitchell questioned whether the intent of the purported document is to try and influence the Bahamian government's policies.
The Bahamas does not engage in any practices which are against international labor norms. That is clear. What I thought was interesting, if not nefarious, is you have some people out of the United States who say they're an NGO, non-governmental organization, and they have published purloined documents. They didn't get them with authority, as far as I'm aware. I've just raised a note of caution to anyone about accepting purloined documents without testing the context, the authenticity of those documents. And we are too gleeful in this present dispensation that as soon as somebody throws some material out there that looks as if it's accurate, we jump behind it and accept it for the truth of its contents. That's the word of caution.
It was the United States Embassy here in Nassau that pushed the issue to the fore at the time, charging that the Bahamas may unknowingly be contributing to Cuban forced labor. Fast forward to earlier this week, and the U.S. government warned that visa restrictions could be imposed on those officials viewed as complicit in what it termed a Cuban labor export system.
These people have in fact, or may have in fact, put at risk Bahamian officials who were simply carrying out their jobs and put at risk for things the authenticity of which has not been tested. And that's my concern. We are seeking as a country to avoid a shouting match with any other country. We are a small country. We believe that we have a right to exist and that we have a right to make our way in the world without putting up artificial and subjective criteria which would damage our ability to trade, to travel, and to move about the world as we should.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.